Hello there, Seraphim17 once again, bringing you another Modern Warfare 3 commentary. This time it's a domination on the map Hardhat, and I'm using the ACR silenced, a gun you've seen me use many times before, one of my favourites on the game. And I'm kind of in a little bit of a bind when it comes to my uploads at this moment in time. There's a lot of stuff I want to do, but I don't really have the time to focus on it. So the easy stuff to upload is the Modern Warfare 3 commentaries. I do apologise if anybody's getting tired of them, but what I'm trying to do with them themselves is I do have a lot of gameplays. I do have a lot of gameplays using similar weapons. So my kind of plan of action with the videos I put up is I'm trying to alternate the maps as best I can. I'm trying to put a different map every time before I recycle the ones I've already got gameplays on. So that's why the gameplays will vary from really boring, really annoying, atrocious gameplays where I get maybe a good score but it's an awful game, to games that are nice and quick with good scores and stuff like that, to games that don't even have that decent of scores but are just enjoyable gameplays. And the main reason for this is I don't want to just oversaturate Modern Warfare 3 content, and it's very easy to do that. I could just, put 4 up a day if I wanted to. I would struggle because I wouldn't be able to do much because my internet's a piece of shit. But I could. I just don't want to give people the fatigue that they got with Black Ops so very quickly because everybody was posting it. So this gameplay itself, I'm not even too sure why I've selected it. It was one of the ones that I'd put into editing, so I'm commentating over it anyway. I'm not really going to talk too much about the gameplay because I've talked a lot when it comes to stuff happening on Modern Warfare 3. The only real topics I have are, stuff that I think is overpowered, connection problems that I'm personally having, and I've mentioned them a whole bunch of times, and I don't want to be just repeating myself. So one cool thing about this is I was capping a lot of flags on this game, I believe, and I was fighting over A with this one guy a lot. So right there I get pistoled. Not too sure how that happens when I'm hip firing with the ACR and still losing, but once again, Modern Warfare 3 hates me in every conceivable way. I've just got to get over it. But there's a couple of topics I want to talk about. One of them is well, both of them are film related. The first one is an atrocious film. It is called the Human Centipede 2. So anybody that's been with me a while will know I did a little 4 review of Human Centipede in a video, and I was surprised. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to be. I thought it was tasteful. I thought, considering what the subject matter was, it did it extremely well. It was by no means a good film, but it had qualities that I respected because it was well put together and it was well versed in subtlety. It didn't show you what it didn't need to show you. It insinuated a lot of things, and it made it a better film because of it. Well, what the director's gone and done in the sequel is he's thrown all the subtlety to the fucking dogs, and it's just nothing but, an hour and 20 minutes of shit, blood, screaming, moaning, and just horror, just pure horror. And for people that don't know what this is, The Human Centipede was a film about a doctor, a very gifted surgeon, that had these dreams of joining 3 people together and putting them all on the same gastric tract. And to do this, he was sewing their faces to the person in front of them's anus, and what would happen is the front part of the centipede would eat, it would then shit, the shit would go into the other one's mouth, they would eat that, it would go through them, and they would shit out into the last person, thus, feeding each other in this centipede fashion. And it was pretty crazy and pretty sick, the first one, but it was interesting. The second one is about a guy who was obsessed over the first film and decides to do it. And the first barrier to entry from anybody is there is hardly any dialogue in this entire film. It is an hour and 30 minutes long and the main character never speaks. It's filmed in black and white, which I don't have any real, problem with. I think the only reason it is black and white is because if they showed the stuff that happens in the film in colour, it would have probably been banned. Because be under no illusion here, people, if you want to watch this film is trying to shock you, this film is trying to disgust you, this film is trying to make you not want to watch it. It's trying to offend your senses in any way it can, from the really harsh tone of the storyline to some of the harsh violence you see, to some of the really unnecessary stuff that's just, malicious for the sake of being malicious. And I will say one thing right now. This film, to me personally, because I'm so desensitized and I'm practically a psychotic person, is an absolute cream puff. It is not offensive, it is not gruesome, it is not gory, it is just an abortion of a movie. And my feelings on it are, they tried so hard to gross people out that they actually forgot to make a good fucking film. Because it's garbage. Everything about it is garbage. It's violence all the time. There is no peaks or valleys. There is no subtle build-ups. There is no tension. It is literally just this retard with a crowbar smacking people over their head, taking them to a warehouse, and then joining them in this massive centipede. The only problem is, this retard doesn't know how to make the centipede in, you know, even one iota, so he's doing his own idea of what this surgery must have taken place, and he's just using like a Stanley blade and cutting them, and it's just really messy. He's using duct tape to seal them together. It's about as professional as, you know, as a cowboy builder. It's ridiculously poor, and it's just an excuse to have these people shitting on each other's faces, to have a ridiculous amount of gore. And apparently the film went through 18 revisions before it finally got its rating, which means that 18 different offensive things were taken out for it to be classed as a film that was not going to be banned. And when I was originally reading about the film, I heard that there was going to be a scene where he wrapped his cock in barbed wire and raped the end person on the centipede with it. And to me, that is about as, you know, deprived and just completely nihilistic as it comes. That is one of the sickest things I've heard of that was going to be in a film, and for obvious reasons it didn't make it in there. Instead, we get this whole side plot about how his daddy used to abuse him when he was younger, which kind of, you know, says why he's a fucking psychopath. His mother, who just abuses him verbally because he's a retard and he still lives with her when he's like in his 40s, and his doctor, who's kind of this psychiatrist guy who's absolutely hilarious because the dude's face is 75% more beard than it is face. He's just this giant bag of fur. It is... I couldn't take him seriously. I was too busy laughing because the guy just looks like a fucking asshole. He's just complete and utter just beard. That's all he is. He's 2/3 beard, 1/3 face. It is hilarious. And not only is he this giant beard, but he's also this gay pedophile type character. So instead of being this, you know, this beacon of hope in this guy's really, really shitty, you know, view on life, he's this seedy, constantly touching his leg, constantly making inappropriate gestures, and just a complete despicable human being. And there's not a single nice person in this entire film. There really isn't. I think that a couple of the people that he captured might have been nicer, but if I'm completely honest, I watched 20 minutes of this film. That's about as much as I could stomach before I died of boredom, and then I skipped through the rest of it and saw the important plot notes and thought, yeah, this film was shit. And then I put on something different. I put on something called 50/50, which, for people, if you've not heard of this film, it's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it, a guy I absolutely love. It's got Seth Rogen in it, and it's pretty much a comedy about cancer. So that statement right there is probably going to offend a few people, but it's very heartfelt, it's very subtle, and it is by no means, you know, taking the piss or using this topic and just exploiting it. This is a touching and decent drama. I would say drama more than comedy, because as funny as a couple of the lines are, there are many more areas of it where you get punched in the gut with a feeling of either sorrow or just emotion, or just being able to relate to what this character's going through. And it's pretty rough at times, but I enjoyed it a lot. It's not gonna be like, it's not gonna change your life. It's not gonna be like Knocked Up. It's just one of those things where this is not a Judd Apatow film, and if you think it's going to be that, you're not going to get that payoff. You need to go into this movie with the impression that it's going to be quite serious and quite dark at times, and jovial about it, just because that's the only way you can cope, because if you didn't make a joke, you'd cry. And I get the feeling a lot of people are probably not going to enjoy it because of the subject matter, because cancer is a very sore subject to a lot of people. I actually got smacked by a girl at a party because I took piss out of cancer, because I'm the type of person that I take away the meaning to things by humanizing it, by putting humor in it. And I do believe if you can mock something that upsets you, you conquer it. You conquer it through the medium of comedy. And I'm also the type of person that thinks if you draw lines in the sand of what you will take the piss out of and what you won't mock, then you become a hypocrite. And everything you say carries absolutely no weight, because you're biasing your humour, you're biasing what you take the piss out of. And I will never do that, because to me everything is funny. And don't get me wrong, something in the right context is not funny whatsoever, but put it in the right context, put it with the right exaggeration, and it becomes absolutely hilarious. I've mentioned this before in another video, so I'm not going to go into it because it generally does get, people pissed off. But at the end of the day, everything is funny within reason, and that is a mantra you should live by, folks. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and you take care now.